Happy Friday, everybody. It's Marc Starrett.
And Annette Starretts.
And we are your hosts of Short-Term Rentals, Do's and Don'ts.
And Shake My Head Moments.
And Shake My Head Moments. And we're going to get right into today's Shake My Head Moments. So, in my teaser that we did, by the way, on Facebook, and join the group if you haven't, it's called Short-Term Rentals, Do's and Don'ts, and Shake My Head Moments. But on the teaser, we said, what does a car show and a cabin have in common? And that is today's Shake My Head Moments. So we were managing a cabin in Pigeon Forge, well, out just right outside of Pigeon Forge, Sevierville area. And it slept 12 people, 12 guests. And during these car shows, we always get calls, and we try to vet the guests as much as possible. It's kind of hard to do sometimes, but in this situation, I thought we did a pretty good job. But we also knew something was going up because they checked in and we had these exterior cameras. They were called Blink XT cameras. And by the way, they're awesome cameras. We're not getting paid to say this to you, but they are wireless and you don't have to plug them in. They're all operated by battery. So it picks up the wireless signal and then has a receiver, and then we can see all the activity. And we had it over the front entrance, and that's the only reason why we had it over the front entrance is so we could see how many people come in.
Right.
Because sometimes they try to squeeze in more than 12 people, and that's not allowed. So that's one of our policies, that was not allowed. And so anyways, we knew that they unplugged the camera. They found the receiver, they unplugged it because it wasn't working. So we were gonna address that the next day, but we were beat to the punch because we ended up receiving a call. It was from the next door cabin, and it was the owner of that cabin, and was also a rental, and she had cameras, and she was very, very upset. The kids called her a certain name, and it wasn't a bad word, but it's something that people use now. It's a slang, and she was definitely being that person. And we were trying to accommodate her and calm her down, and I guess our guests were coming in at all hours. After 1 o'clock, slamming doors, loud, partying on the patio, in the hot tub, and all that. So, and again, it's hard to control guests. So of course we made an immediate phone call that night, and they weren't picking up, and they weren't going to pick up. We kind of had to figure that wasn't going to happen. So we told her that we would address it in the morning, which we ended up doing. And I ended up calling the Pigeon Forge Police Department, or Sevier County, excuse me, it was Sevier County Police Department. And we met them out there, and they're great people, by the way. We have a wonderful police department, wonderful people to work with. Give them a shout out because they've been excellent to work with each and every time. This is not our first rodeo in kicking out guests. We've done it in the past. We weren't planning on kicking these people out. We're going to give them a chance, depending on the condition of the cabin, right?
Right, yeah.
So we get there, and the police are there, and go ahead and tell them. And by the way, this is a car show that's going on. I don't know what the name of the cars are, but they're not low riders, but they sit about 3 or 4 inches off the ground, really low to the ground, and they're like Nissan, little Nissans, and I'm not sure exactly what all the models are, but they have these big wide tires in the back, and they kind of go out at an angle. And they're real loud. They got the mufflers that are extremely loud, and I'm sure they were revving up their cars and whooping it up. But anyways, so if anybody knows what those are, please comment below and let us know, because I tried to find them on the web as far as what kind of cars they are, and I couldn't find anything. So, but go ahead and tell them.
As we arrived to the cabin, of course the police met us there, and we ended up going up and in. When we first arrived, there were a bunch of cars. I mean, all the parking spaces were filled, and they were on the street. So this first of all told us that, yeah, there's definitely more people here than what should be. As we went into the cabin, we did see the guest and talk to the guest that rented it, and everybody was very good, very cooperative, and just explained the situation. And we decided to let them stay another night because they told us that they would respect our policies and would be able to control the number of people that came in and out.
What did we figure? There had to be 20 plus people there?
It was about 20 or more.
Yeah. And as we're talking, to the police. One of us, I don't remember who, stayed behind to talk to the guests, and then one of us, this was a 3-story cabin, checked and inspected each and every room, because we just wanted to make sure that there was no physical damage to the cabin. They trashed it, but there was no physical damage to the cabin. So
Right. So yeah, no items, nothing
nothing
was damaged.
nothing seemed to be broken.
Very, very messy.
Yeah.
And so, and then what happened was we went on with the day, and
Well, before we left though, we said, you know, if we have to come back again, you'll be removed from
Exactly.
the, and you won't get your money back.
Exactly. So, and they were very respectful of that. They acknowledged it, and we felt good walking away, feeling that, you know, we were heard and that they were going to be respectful. And next thing we know, we get another call.
Yeah. So we get another call, and it is a Saturday night, and they were supposed to leave on Monday or Tuesday, I believe. And it was Sunday morning when, again, we called the police and we walked in. And we said, you have approximately an hour to get out.
Yeah, and there were still a lot of guests there,
Yeah.
More than what needed to be there.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, you know, we don't want to do that, but when someone is not going to be respectful, yeah, they needed to be removed. And we didn't want our neighbor to continue to be upset by it as well.
Yeah. So anyways, we gave them that hour to get out. They were out. There was no eye contact being made. And just to give you a heads up, this happens a lot. It's hard to vet people, especially with Airbnb and VRBO. My personal opinion, our personal opinion, is they don't do a great job of it. And you try to do as much as you can as well. But what typically happens is it's usually one person that rents it, and they then end up splitting the cost. Somebody has a credit card, good credit, whatever the case may be, they put it on their card and they split the cost with 20 people. So a $400 a night cabin is split between 20 people. It's not costing anybody anything. And you know, they stay there. So you can go and try to go to Airbnb, and you can try to get, you know, some type of you know, have them pay additional funds and additional money. It's very hard to do. In this situation, our cleaners went in to take care of the mess. They were there an additional 3 hours, and I believe they filled up 3 of those big landscaping size trash bags that you get for your landscaping, full of beer bottles, water bottles, alcohol bottles. Obviously these people were having an extremely good time. So we did go back to Airbnb, and I believe we got some money back.
We did, and it took a little while, because of course they're going to listen to our side of it, and then they're going to listen to the guest side of it. And of course the guest was pretty much denying that they did any wrong, and they didn't leave it in the sad shape it was. But we have really good housekeepers that know how to keep track of and record and make sure it's well documented as to what they experience when they go in a cabin and what they're cleaning up. So at the end of the day, Airbnb did the right thing, and they ended up giving us, you know, additional funds to be able to cover,
which they charged back to the guests.
Which they charged back to the guests, of course. And so,
and they did not dispute it.
We were able to give the housekeepers, you know, the money as well, so they could get paid for their extra work and services on top of everything.
Yeah.
And but it is it doesn't happen immediately, and Airbnb, you know, was very helpful. But of course they're going to listen to both sides. So just make sure when you, as the owner or whoever it is that's taking care of your cabin, documents everything very well. And that way there won't be much dispute when there is an incident that does come up where you need to get more money back or reimbursed for damages.
Yeah, and plus we both went back in and we did a quality check, and just to make sure that there wasn't anything broken. I don't recall what we ended up getting. I think it was over $300 additionally from the guests. And we, of course, we reviewed the guests and gave them a terrible review. They did not review us back, which was probably smart on their part, because eventually they'll like to end up probably renting someplace else. So, but again, you know, that kind of brings us to our do's and our don'ts. And that was kind of a shake my head moment. We didn't write down a do on this one, but What do you think?
I feel the do is definitely, get yourself a good security camera, something that you can monitor easily. There's so many different options out there now, from even when we had the Blink camera on this particular property. There's other ways of doing it now that you'll always have the ability to view and make sure, that people are abiding by the policies for your property and being respectful.
And I know this one, don't hesitate to kick a guest out if they're not being respectful to your property.
I think in hindsight, we probably should have let them go the first time.
Well, we try to give them a benefit of it.
Exactly, because they were being respectful and they were acknowledging at the time that they were going to be.
And by the way, along with that, keep in mind, we've heard just horrible horror stories about short-term rentals and people doing tens of thousands of dollars worth of damages, using them as a party place and bringing in 30, 40 people. You just don't hesitate. If your gut tells you to kick them out, okay? If you have to give their money back, it's better than having to deal with tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage, okay? So that's just the do's and the don'ts. And also, we want to do some additional do's and the don'ts, kind of a bonus, because we've been posting some stuff on our Facebook page too. So along with this, where we are in the Great Smoky Mountains in East Tennessee, and we're in January timeframe of 2023, so we're slow. This is our slow period. Usually slow January, February. We pick back up again in March, and during this time, it is a great time to make repairs in your short-term rental. Whether maybe you're thinking about getting some new furniture, maybe you're thinking about getting your carpeting steam cleaned, new carpeting, mattresses, by the way, big thing to replace mattresses. And by the way, if your mattress is over 5 years old, please replace them. One of the biggest complaints we got was old mattresses and lumpy mattresses.
It's a investment and worth
good investment
to be able to purchase a decent mattress, and then of course when the time comes to replace it with another good mattress,
and
so you don't get those complaints.
We have our cheat sheet here, so you do the don't on that one.
So you don't put off making repairs, whether it be we're in our area. We know people have properties in all different types of cities and areas throughout the United States, and outside of that, use the slower times if you have that to make those repairs. Don't put off doing the repairs. Also, make sure all of the, and this is a do, make sure all of the smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, and the fire extinguishers are working properly, so your guests know that they're coming into a safe cabin.
And don't put that off. Okay. Because there's nothing worse than you're in your high season and something that could have been fixed wasn't fixed. And so preventative is that will save you some headaches. Trust us.
And it will also you'll continue to keep renting in your high seasons and not have to stop what you're doing or move a guest because of something coming up that should have been taken care of.
And if you're co-hosting or if you manage for other people, make sure that's in your contract that they take care of stuff like that, because some owners won't, and that becomes a headache to you. So make sure of that. And okay, that's it. That is today's do's and don'ts and shake my head moments. Again, Marc Starrett and Annette Starretts. We are your hosts, and we hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. Yes, you can see in the background, it's a beautiful sunny day here in the Smoky Mountains, and we hope wherever you are that you have a blessed weekend and a blessed day.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care. Thank you.